All right, our third guest up tonight. He's been on the show before. He's from Staten Island. He's a pro drummer. Let's give a warm late night welcome to Sandy Gennero, everybody. Sandy, what's up, buddy?
Hi, Sandy.
Nice to see
You're
you.
looking
Nice to
cool
see
as
you.
ever.
Thank you kindly.
Tell you.
Okay.
Well, congratulations is in order on your new tour. You just
thank you very much.
just got back from Europe and the UK, right?
I did.
Why don't you share some behind-the-scenes stories? I'd love to hear them.
It was very long. Being a month in Europe away from home is it's a long time. But at the same time, you're seeing great places. You're seeing places that you read about in magazines the whole life. It was just awesome, and playing every night for European crowds. It was great. It was really good.
Was it fun?
Really, really good.
Was it fun? Did you have like a fun time? Did you get a sense of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, after being in the business for 45 years and the traveling gets to be, I look at the whole situation as I get paid for the traveling.
Yeah.
The playing, the performing, I still, I just love it. I love performing. So anytime there's an audience, whether it's 5 people or 5,000 or 50,000, that's still fun. After 45 years of doing it, it's still fun.
How are your hands? Do they still feel good?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready for another 45 years.
Beautiful. Now listen, this Staten Island, the Snug Harbor exhibit that you're involved with. Why don't you talk about that? Fill me in and people out there who don't know about it.
Well, Snug Harbor has this exhibit that goes to December of 2013. It's called Island Sounds, and it highlights different artists from Staten Island, where they live on Staten Island presently, or they were born on Staten Island, and if they've gone on to do anything notable in the entertainment industry. There's a nice little timeline going on, and they contacted me to get some memorabilia from my studio downstairs, and they came over and did an interview. And when they were on, they took a snare drum that I used on a certain record, and a platinum record from Cyndi Lauper, and a Joan Jett platinum record. And when they were about to leave my house with the memorabilia, they filmed an interview and everything. And I said, there's something a collection I want to show you that I still haven't figured out how to display them in my own house. But I don't know how you're going to display them, but I had 4 big potato chip tins, aluminum potato chip tins, full of every single hotel key that I've ever had in my whole life. Since the very first hotel I ever stayed in 45 years ago, I kept a little key as a souvenir.
I heard about that. I mean, you had everyone, not even miss one?
Well, there's about 2 or 3 that the hotel called. They called the management office and said, if you don't return the key, because in Europe, they give you hotel keys that have this big ornate little...
like a piece of wood or something, right?
Yeah, it could be a piece of wood or a piece of metal or whatever. It has the name of the hotel on, very ornate keys. And so they saw the keys in the hotel, the hotel keys in the potato chip bins, and they freaked out. They said, "Oh, we'd love to have those. We'll figure out a way to display them or whatever." So they took it. And then they emailed me a picture about a week later that they got this display case that the Smithsonian Institute had given them for something. And it was this glass case, this table about this high, and it had a glass cover that opened. They just dumped the keys in there.
That's great. Perfect.
And yes, it was one of the featured attractions at the Snug Harbor exhibit. So go check it out.
How long is it going to be running for?
It's going to the December of 2013.
All right, nice. Definitely going to go check it out.
Yeah.
That's great.
And it's not only my stuff.
Yeah.
There's everybody.
I was going to say, Nick, you want to rattle off a couple of fast?
Well, there was Kazim Sultan, who played with Todd Rundgren, Errol Slick, who played with David Bowie, Frankie LaRocca,
Frankie's
David
stuff was in there?
Johansen from the New York Dolls,
Great.
and Vito Pacone from the Elegants.
Yeah, we know Vito.
Yeah, a bunch of AJ Pirro from Twisted Sister, a bunch of guys, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's cool. It's very cool.
Well, that's exciting.
Nice.
It is.
Well, listen, to go off a different curve, I just want to say to you, since you're here personally, and again to the family, my condolences to Davy Jones and his family. I know you were very close with him, and I would like to hear a couple of fond memories you might want to share with us of
Well,
Davy.
I did every Monkey reunion tour except for the very last one that happened in the summer of '11, I believe. But yeah, Davy, working with the Monkees, and then Davy in between Monkey tours, Davy always did his solo gigs, and I was in his band, his solo band as well. And there's the one fond memory I have. Well, I have many, many memories. A lot of them are kind of not mentionable here. But the one GP memory I have is we played Westbury Music Fair, and he had a house in Pennsylvania. And he said, Sandy, and at the time, on the side of my property, I was building this rock wall. This wall that, when I went to Europe, when I've been to Europe, you see these rock walls in Europe that last for miles and miles and miles. They're stone walls, right? So on the side of my property, I was building one of these. So we played Westbury, and he goes, Sandy, on the way back home to Pennsylvania tonight, I'd like to maybe stay at your house if it's okay. So Davy Jones has stayed at my house, and that was a Saturday night, and Sunday morning we get up, and he comes downstairs from the guest bedroom, and he's got his work gloves on. He goes, I'm going to help you build your stone wall. So we were both out on the side of my house building a stone wall. I was going, Davy, grab that rock and put it over there or whatever. So I was telling Davy Jones where to put stones on
That's a good story.
But he really, really liked, he loved my house. He goes, Sandy, this is a great house. There's a little bit of heaven you have here. He really, really loved getting away from it all and relaxing.
That's cool.
That's great.
Cool.
Sandy, I'm a big Cyndi Lauper fan, and I know you've had the chance to work with her.
Yeah.
How is it like working with Cyndi Lauper?
She was interesting, very, very interesting. When you work with a female artist, it's being in any band is sort of like a marriage. When you're with the same group of people for years and years, it's so working with her is interesting because you never knew what you were going to get from day to day, whether it would be sweetheart Cyndi or Nazi Cyndi.
Was there an in-between Cyndi?
There was usually an in-between Cyndi, but it was that gig was really good for me because, good for the whole band actually, because when we joined the band, nobody knew who Cyndi was.
Wow.
We joined the band while this first album was being recorded, and she put her road band together when the album was being recorded. So. And then we were with the band when she played, rooms not much bigger than this, and we were with it every step of the way. And 6 months after she started, and when Girls Just Want to Have Fun hit, it was like
all-time favorite
song.
You were on that
No, I was not.
Okay.
No, I was on that tour.
Okay.
I was not on the record. I was on the tour.
All right.
Well, I did an overdub actually on Time After Time. I did a
Okay.
side stick overdub on Time After Time, but that's that was it was a tour that lasted about 2 years.
Oh, great. So was it like an arena tour? Or was
Well,
it like
it started out
a
in rooms like
Yeah.
this, and it grew to went to theaters, and it went to small little civic centers, and then it went to larger civic centers, and then arenas,
Yeah,
and then it
those
was multi-nights in arenas, and we did once we did Johnny Carson. We appeared on the Tonight Show like 3 times.
What year was that?
That was 1984.
Oh, cool. That must have been great.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Meeting Johnny Carson was just
I
awesome.
never
But
got to meet
once we did that show, it just exploded. The gig just exploded. It was awesome being on that ride, and seeing. In retrospect, it's very interesting to be involved with something that's like nobody ever heard of, and then 6 months later, it was as big as Gaga is today. She was that as big in 1984, 85.
Yeah, that song went through the charts.
It was, I think, 5 million worldwide or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it was awesome. Yeah, it was really good.
Now I know you have 2 records coming out with Pat Travis, right?
Yes, yes. I was with Pat Travers in the early '80s, and he called me back about 2 years. I did 2 albums with him in the early '80s and did numerous tours, and then he called me back about 2.5 years ago, and I'm back with him now. And we've been touring for the last 2.5 years, and we ended up getting a 2-album deal with Frontier Records, and we did a live record at the Iridium in New York City. We did that in February. That's coming out in early 2013, and then we're currently working on a studio record.
Now the studio record, what's the how's it sound? Is it like old school?
It's kind of old school, bluesy rock, a lot of slide guitar. You know, it's rock. It's hard rock with a blues edge to it. Travis
great.
has always been, yeah.
I love Pat Travis, man.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I got
Boom,
some.
boom, out go the lights.
So Sandy, for the younger generation, why don't you tell us a couple of artists that you've recorded with?
I did some recording with Benny Mardones.
Okay.
I did a couple of recording things with Bo Diddley later on in his career. Robin Gibb of the Bee Gees, I did his solo record. I did, as I
cool.
said, 2 albums with Travers. I did an album with Joan Jett. I was with Joan Jett for 2 years, and I did a record with her called The Hit List,
That's great.
which was a record she did in 1990. It was an album of covers that she did. And now Joan is nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Good.
She's going into the Hall of Fame, which is awesome.
She was probably more, in my opinion, I don't know, you tell me you worked with her. Was she more fun to work with than Cyndi Lauper?
You know what? People ask me what was the best gig you ever did, and every gig is my favorite for another reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cindy's because nobody knew who she was, and I seen the thing explode to multi-platinum. Joan, I love touring with her because she was one of the guys, so
Rock
to
and
speak. I
roll,
mean,
yeah.
it was in your face rock and roll, and she liked touring in out of the way places. Like I went to the Far East with her in places like Singapore, Thailand, and Korea, and so as far as that being my favorite gig because of the way she liked touring, and everything was first class, and Pat with Travers, to me, if I wrote and sang my own stuff, it would be Pat Travers' kind of material. It's like that's kind of, I feel more natural in that gig than any other gig, really.
Right, cool.
Even though I've done more gigs that are more popular and whatever, musically speaking, that's the stuff.
Well, Sandy, that's your time. Is there anywhere on the internet anyone can get in touch with you for your friends and your fans?
Well, Facebook, my page on Facebook, Sandy Gennero, and also my website. You can contact me through my website. It's just sandygennero.com. My email address is sandy@sandygennero.com.
That's cool. Well, Sandy, come back anytime,
thank you
buddy.
so
Sandy
very
Gennero,
much.
everybody.
Thank you.
Have a seat. All right, great.
He's great.